Hi guys, welcome to the Macros Bodybuilding and Powerlifting podcast. Really happy to be here with Mark, and we're both kitted out in our uniform for anyone who's watching this. Excited to have some actual uniform now, which is really sweet. And we are going to be talking to you today about kind of setting up a client on a program, on an online coaching platform. We thought this might be beneficial for anyone who is maybe looking for online coaching from Revive Stronger or from anyone else online, because you might be interested to see how we do it, how they do it. It might be interesting to other online coaches or anyone looking to set up such a business, or just people who are listening in and they want to know how maybe they should go about setting up their program. It might give you some questions that you should be asking yourself before you go about setting up a program. So initially, for us, we have a consultation that we initially set up with the person. Before that, they go onto our website and they can read over kind of what basic outline of what we provide. And then it just gives them the option to sign up for a free consultation with either me or Mark. And on that document, there's a bunch of questions there, from kind of what their main goals are, what things have worked for them in the past, what things haven't worked so well in the past, what they're struggling with right now, what they think we can help with, and also just a PAR-Q, just to make sure they're fit and healthy, because neither me or Mark are specialists in kind of rehab and things like that. So we don't want to take anyone on who has kind of severe injuries or maybe even like current eating disorders. It's not something we have expertise in. We're personal trainers. So Mark, when someone has filled in this form and you're starting up to book a consultation with them, in that consultation, what are you looking to get out of that person?
Okay, so mainly I'd like, obviously, to get an idea of what their immediate goals are, which they've already given an indication of through the application form from the website. It's just more a case of going over that again, what their goals are. Both, I kind of like to get the immediate goal, and then even like what's their kind of end goal, what are they trying to get to, and how they think I can help get them there. I like to get them talking. I like them to lead the way with the consultation, and I think finding out what's worked well for them in the past with training and/or nutrition. Finding out what hasn't worked so well, and why did it not work so well, or why did that work well, and then just starting to build up things like, what do they actually like to do, how do they like to train, how many times per week they like to train, or can they train, have they got certain limitations. Some people can train 5 times a week with almost no time constraints. Some people train in their dinner time or their lunch hour, and have to both get to the gym, train, and get out of the gym like within an hour. So you're kind of building up a picture of how best to coach that person before they even, before you go into anything else, before they sign up. And yeah, it's just taking them through. Once they've given me all that information, I then explain exactly how I can help, or how I think I could help. And within the consultation process, before that conversation's ended, they should know absolutely everything that the service that they'll get from Revive. And there shouldn't really be too many more questions after that. I try and make sure they go away with all the knowledge that they need, and then they also receive a follow-up email to kind of summarize the consultation. I even make a list of the points that they've raised, just to make sure that they didn't forget anything. I think some people get quite nervous maybe during a consultation, especially if they haven't had like a Skype consultation before. And just with that process, they can forget some questions that they had. So I make sure that they've told me everything that they wanted to tell me, And then I also just include things like, and this is the service you'll get, this is what to expect, and this is what I promise that I will help you with.
Hmm.
And more recently, I've actually also included what they wouldn't expect,
Yeah.
or what they shouldn't expect, just so that they've got a full, clear understanding of what they're getting into before they sign up.
No, I think that's a great point that you raised with the expectations of both what we expect of people signing up and what they expect of us.
Mm.
So, just to give people some examples, so expectations of the client, I mean, something I always say to everyone when I'm having the Skype consult with them, and sometimes I feel like they might think I'm being a bit funny, but one thing I really want every single client to be is 100% honest and open with me.
Yeah.
And that's why I say when we have the consult, I initially like open up and I say, this is basically an opportunity to say hello and be like,
Yeah.
okay, this is online coaching, but we're going to be as personable and we're going to be like as kind of friendly as possible so that you feel you can tell me anything, which is really important for all of my clients who I feel like they almost become a friend, but not in every case because sometimes I have to tell them off. And well, I guess you might tell your friends off, but
Yeah.
that is really important. And then other things we require them, so things like weighing themselves or finding an approach that can allow us to track their body composition, whether that be photos, body measurements, or weighing themselves, or the frequency of weighing themselves. Some form of accountability to their nutrition, whether that's counting macros through MyFitnessPal or doing kind of portion control, whatever method or system we have them on. And what we're revealing through that chat is the fact we have all these different ways that we can help, and there isn't just a one black and white answer with that. And that obviously things like, okay, I need you to actually check in on this day, and you need to be kind of giving me a video and kind of inputting all your data by this time, so that when I'm doing my job, I can be as efficient and effective as possible, so I don't end up kind of giving you a poorer service because I'm rushing or things like that. So they know exactly
100%.
what to expect. And then also just like a basic outline of, okay, you're going to get this training program. It's going to like look like this. It's going to be 4 to 6 weeks. You're going to be able to see what you're doing through that mesocycle or that training period. Your nutrition is from chatting. It's probably going to be set up like this. Obviously not ever giving kind of definite answers.
Yeah.
But the consultation is so important because on a piece of kind of the initial application, they might say something like, I want to gain muscle mass and like I can train 6 times a week or something. Although that's the second application form because we have 2 application forms. But if someone comes saying that, we assume maybe that they're actually in a position to gain muscle mass. But talking to them, I mean, you might even just see through their initial facial aesthetics that they look like they probably shouldn't be gaining any more muscle mass or actually attempting to gain weight in general, and really cutting would be more suitable for them. Or maybe it's quite often I get females who come in and they're like massively struggling to lose weight. And through chatting to them, I found out, well, they've been in attempting a calorie deficit for weeks upon weeks, well, months and months, sometimes even years, and binging. And it's just, you need to get them mentally in a healthy state so we can then progress from there. And that's why I think for both you and me, Mark, the kind of consultation, at least with voice, if they can't do video, is so important because to understand one another is kind of, it is so essential for it's personal training at the end of the day, even though it's online.
That's exactly what it is. It's personal training. And although I'm sure there's many people who have their consultations almost like via email, it maybe works for them, and we could do all our consultations through email and still work with the clients, but it's just not going to be anywhere near as personable or effective if you haven't actually sat down and listened to the person. And I think as well, it's just really nice to be able to say hello in person. Like, first and foremost, get to know each other and get to feel for. I really want the client to get a feel for me, and start to build up a trust right from the off almost. I think the consultation just really does set you up for the whole process going forward. It's such an important part, especially with online coaching.
Yeah, and I think part of it is, I think a lot of stuff can get misconstrued during emails, or people can't actually reveal their complete and honest truth, or they hold back things, or they don't know how to explain things properly via an email. And even kind of coaching comments can get misconstrued via email. It might sound like you're having a go at them and in a really aggressive manner in an email, but when you're saying it, you'd say it in your soft Scottish tones. So, or you try your best.
We sound aggressive, whatever we say. I think we've been told that a few times. But you're absolutely right, and that's one thing as well with the free group that we've got. Sometimes answering questions on there can get a little bit misconstrued, just because it's very hard to get your point across, whether you're deliberately trying to be quite not aggressive, like forceful in your point, or just general advice. It's really hard, and that's why sometimes I actually, if I get a question through, so the client gets a check-in day, that's great. But up with that, if I get a question through email that they're maybe struggling with or they need some advice with, I'll quite often answer back with a video, just because it takes no time. It's keeping personable again, and there's less chance that the information that I'm giving them is going to be like misinterpreted, or I hope that they would understand it better through video. I just have to remember to talk properly, which is funny, because I've probably got some clients who would prefer if I got back to them through an email, because at least they could read it and they would understand what I'm saying. But yeah, I think what we try and do, and what we are particularly good at, I have to say, is we do try and make it personable. We try and make it like, we're in the same room as the client all the time, and we're right behind them with everything. And even when they're training, they should feel like we're right behind them in that gym. When they send us their footage over, it's like we're trying to be there as much as we possibly can. And I don't say this lightly when I tell clients, if they've got any problems with anything, it doesn't even necessarily have to be training or nutrition. Just, that's what I'm here for. Let me know. I really try and get the point across it. And I like what you said about the honesty thing, because if they're not being honest with us, they're kind of doing themselves a disservice, because they're not getting the full coaching that they should be getting. So if we get a check-in once a week and they're coming across everything's okay, although it's a little bit more difficult to do that with video logs, because we can kind of tell they're saying things, everything's okay, but we can get a feeling for that. But along the week, if they're emailing back and forth, everything's fine and there's no problems, then there's not much coaching involved with that, because it's just, okay, everything's good. And we feel like that they're getting on well. Whereas if that's not the case, then they could be getting a lot more service and a lot more value for their money. And just, it's our job to make sure that they're happy all the time. And that's where it's so important to be honest. It's so important to let us know what's happening with everything, whatever they've got on, any stresses that they've got on at the time, because we can cater for it as well. If they're going to go through a particular stressful period of time, we might suggest, well, let's not diet through that period of time. Let's get the calories up. Is this stress going to cause stress plus dieting? Is that going to cause so much stress that you're going to maybe go overboard with calories and things, or binge? Let's take the diet out of it. Get through that few weeks of, like, if they're moving home, or if they've got like exams, or I don't know, job opportunities or whatever. We need to know what's going on so we can advise as best we can. And then they're kind of putting their trust in us as well, to make the right decisions for them.
100%. There's no such thing as too much information. Well,
no.
That's a lie. I mean, if they're going to start talking about like their friends and family too much, like I had this discussion with this person at work, and no, I don't want to know about that, but I do want to know about even things as much as, especially something I've been taking more interest in, is female clients' periods. When is their cycle? Where are they? How is that feeling? How's that impacting their training? Are they noticing anything? Because often they don't even realize where they are with their cycle and things like that. And just having as much data as possible, even if it's emotional data, is really helpful. I thought I'd just tell everyone, we've kind of gone away from our initial consult, and we're now talking about when we have check-ins with clients who are on our kind of standard weekly coaching package. They get a weekly update, and on that day of the week, we encourage them to do a video log. Literally every single one of my clients does. There's a couple that don't when they don't have time, or if they're absolutely fine for that week. And then we do a video back to them. And that's really important for us because it keeps that connection, it keeps it personal, and they feel they can be honest with you, and you build a relationship over time. Initially, it can be a bit awkward for some people, but after the consult, after the first couple of weeks, like, you start talking about things that are kind of part of their life, but not necessarily kind of directly related to training and nutrition. And I think that's part of it, because it is a lifestyle at the end of the day. So if we come back to, we've had our initial consultation with the client. They've decided that, yes, we can help them. What then we give them is a second application form that just goes into further detail. Obviously, we take things like their height, their weight, their date of birth, other things are how many times a week do they want to train. And this is important because we've already discussed this in the consult, kind of, it has to be the amount of times they can actually 100% commit to every week, because it's better to create a program that's 3 times a week than create one that's 4 or 5, and then they only reach 3 some weeks, they reach 4 some weeks. Because like we've said before, and I think it's a great analogy, is every kind of training session is a piece in that puzzle. You don't want to skip things, and we can create you can create a various kind of, you can just split your training volume. And this is the art of programming, and this is what part of the job we love, because we get to actually mess around with things and program it differently. So that's important. And then just so we definitely know, kind of, have they tracked macros before? Are they confident with that? But most of this second application form is generally covered within the initial consult, but it's just details, so we have them noted down. We also take body measurements, so kind of girth measurements of various body parts to make sure we've got that, and kind of what their current training split exactly detailed looks like. So we've got all this extra information that we can use to progress from. So once they've filled out that second application form, Mark, we go away, we develop their program over, say, it's normally about a week that we have. And in that time, they get introduced to our team, which is another aspect of the online coaching service. You get kind of a group environment that's kind of private. Everyone there is kind of, they're part of the Team Revive. So they're all quite similar people. Most of them are into kind of bodybuilding, powerlifting, that sort of thing. Tracking macros in that sense, but also similar people, because they've obviously been drawn to us, and we draw in a particular type of client. So that's really great, because we have a type of client that we definitely draw in, and there's some definitely similarities between clients, which is really cool. So then they get some coaching documents, which is basically just a bit of a guidance of what to expect, which again we will have already gone over, but they've now got that there. So what to expect each week. The Revive Handbook, Revive Bible, which is also just a resource that we actually probably need to update, but we try and keep up to date with various supplementation information, kind of general warm-ups, mobility work, nutrient timing, all of those, kind of an FAQ of questions that I've been asked a lot in the past, and so I just put it into a document that makes it easy for the clients, so they don't have to feel like they always have to come back to me, and they don't feel stupid asking the same question over and over again. Not that we ever make them feel that way. So once they've got all of that, Mark, and you've developed the program, what do you send across to them? Do you just give it across, or is there kind of anything more to that?
Well, I think that's where technology is really cool, and especially if so not long ago, in fact you remember this, I think it was just at the start of the year, I invested in this in a MacBook, which is just brilliant for particularly what we do. So like you said, once they've got all the information, once they're in the group, they're introduced to the group. They can chat from other members, which I think is awesome as well. I think having that community is really cool. They get the Bible, they get all the documents. If they read through that, they're already in a pretty darn good place. It covers a lot of information. And yeah, so I usually say that it will be with you like within 7 days. However, I always try and get them started on the following Monday. So just like makes sense. Like,
Yeah, it's
everyone
easy.
starts things on Monday. Yeah. So if we have the consultation on the, or if they sign up on the Monday, then I've got 7 days. If the consultation happens to be on the Saturday evening, then I would still do everything I can to get it done for starting that Monday. Sometimes it doesn't work out, but most times they're up and running the next Monday. I do other programming again based on all the information. I've got all that information now. I don't have any second guesses. I know exactly how many times they can train. I know exactly their likes and dislikes. Any exercises they absolutely hate doing. Any exercise that they love to do, which is important. So I've already built this program up in my head. I kind of know what it's going to look like. It's just a case of putting it in the spreadsheets and working it out. Whether or not somebody might want to really focus on their upper body, maybe their chest. So we'll have a chest progression for that mesocycle or whatever. Once it's all designed, their nutrition protocol and their training, I then go into the program and I record myself going through the whole thing. I tell them, I go through the exercises. I tell them why I've set the training up like that. I think that's important as well. If you're writing a program for someone, you've got to know why you're doing it. And that can differ from client to client. If I've got a general fat loss client who's not all that advanced in the gym, their training might be a lot more simpler, or a lot more simple to program and to look at. Still highly effective, but it doesn't need to be as advanced as someone who's trained for 10 or 15 years. So there might be, just with the way things work out, there might be a little bit more thought goes into a more advanced trainee kind of thing. But yeah, there should be, again, with the same thing I said about the consultation, when they get that documents through, they shouldn't really have a whole load of questions on why I've programmed the way I've programmed, or why I've set their calories to their calories, or why their macronutrients are set like that, or are we having a refeed? Maybe not, but if we are, why? Shouldn't be a lot of questions. It should be pretty comprehensive what I give them. And of course, if there is any questions, I'm happy to answer. In fact, I encourage them to really think about a question and get back to me as soon as they can. What I also like to do is, I don't know if this is something you do yourself, but somewhere in the first week, maybe after the last training session of that week, I get them to send me a video just how things have gone, and then I reply with another video just to say, like, keep on top of things. There's a lot of contact back and forth from myself and the client in the first week, because I want to make sure that they're happy with everything. I want to make sure that they're completely understanding of everything, and iron out any problems as quick as possible. And then with the online coaching, they're kind of just left to their own devices after that. I think that's really the great thing about it, is having that flexibility to go away. You've got lots of flexibility. You've got a bit of accountability from us. You've also got a bit of what would I say? It's kind of down to you to stick to the plan after that. We're not going to be there 24/7. So yeah, but the first week is a lot of communication between me and the client. Yeah, but they get all that sent out.
That's awesome. I mean, I think the best thing that you touched on there is that when we set clients up, and I think whenever you set up your own program or you start someone else's program, you need to understand why you're doing things.
Yep.
So we're making sure we're ticking off all the boxes when we're doing the program. So like specificity, you got to make sure that the program they're doing is specific to their goal, and we explain that the program is obviously specific to their goal. So if they're a powerlifter, a bodybuilder, the exercise selection, everything there is specific for them, for their goal right now. And we're explaining like we're doing this sort of volume, this sort of rep range because this is your goal. This is how it helps that. And so it's crazy how it is online coaching, but it's almost like an education at the same time. And that is part of what we hope people get out of our coaching service, at least, is you get an education. You don't just get, when you go and buy a program online and you don't get the coaching behind it, you just get that program, you hope it's going to work for your goal. Whereas when you get coaching through an online coaching service, you'd hope that they explain every single detail and why it's this sets and reps, why that exercise. And sometimes, well, actually every time I send across the program and I send across kind of what I've said, why we're doing specific things for their specific goals, and that like the calories, refeeds, explaining everything, what their purpose is, what to expect as well. Because often, I mean, for our first, when we do our mesocycles, the first training week, quite often it's quite easy for some people. For other people, it's not. It depends where they've come from, because we explain it's a base week. This is to set you up so you get used to some of these exercises are new, so your body isn't just kind of massively sore because you've had all of this stimulus that's new, novel, and you're pushing it too hard. Whereas we don't push too hard, and then we explain, okay, in week 2, there's this progression in load or intensity, or this progression in volume. Week 3, week 4, we explain there's going to be a deload and the purpose of that. All of these things, so you actually get an education in programming and nutritional programming. Like we're on this many calories. I predict this is about this sort of calorie deficit, and then we are putting in a refeed here for this purpose. There's going to be a diet break in however many weeks, so that they feel really confident. And that is when you have to trust in the process. And it's almost like once you understand all of that through what we've given you, there's almost, you don't even need to trust it. It's there for you to understand and take away. And I know, having been coached in the past, it's really handy just having someone take all of that and explain it to you. And I learned a lot from when I was coached years ago. And it really helps, because I'm sure you're the same, Mark. Well, we are the same in that anyone who we coach, we hope when they leave our service, however long it be, if it be 3 months, if it be 6 months, if it be a year down the line, they feel confident enough to go away and be able to do this for themselves now and feel in control.
Absolutely. And then even, we work with clients who the only reason, or one of the reasons that they want to work with Revive Stronger, is so that they can provide a good service to their clients. Education is, if a client comes to an end of a cycle with us and says, "Look, thanks for everything. I can now go and do this on my own. I've got the tools for the rest of my life to go forward, keep making improvements, keep pushing forward, and also work with clients on my own." Then we've done our job, and I think that's and then some, of course. But that's kind of the end goal. There's no secrets with us. You know what I mean? We're not. It's not like we're trying to keep some kind of Revive secret. We're quite happy to give this empowerment to the clients. So that's what we want. That's why we do this job, is to help educate people. And we should be looking to pass on the things that we've learned and our experiences, give them the tools to go off. It's really cool if they want to work with us because they like having a coach, they like the accountability, and they like all the stress that comes along with like programming for yourself, because man, like, it's coaching yourself is a pain.
Yeah, it is.
If they just are sticking around because they prefer for us to take responsibility for them, then that's great. But at the same time, if they want to leave because they now feel like they've got this like education, this grounding for going forward, then that's equally as important.
100%. Different people come for coaching for different reasons. We get people who don't want to necessarily know everything. They don't want to know like the hows and whys. They're busy. They just want to be told this is what they need to do. We always try and give a basic grounding of information, and there's some very basic stuff you kind of want to know so you can go away. But then we'll have clients who really want to understand kind of the minutia and really understand everything. That again is absolutely fine. We're happy to deal with that. And then we get quite, I mean, I can't think how many people I work with that are coaches or personal trainers themselves, but a large percentage who some of them just need the accountability and support, and almost just kind of making them feel like, okay, they feel like they know their stuff, but they just want reassurance that someone who they know kind of is quite well an expert in kind of programming and things like that, that they do it in a similar way, and that they now understand it, and seeing what their knowledge in practice is sometimes all they need. I think that can be really powerful sometimes, because it's all good knowing it on paper, but sometimes that experience and having gone through it yourself can be really powerful, and kind of cements that knowledge that you can get.
Definitely. And there's no real secret to coaching either. Like there's not, nobody really prepares you for it. It's just kind of building up experience dealing with the clients, and then that's the one thing they're going to get with us, is just cared for. Like it's so, I'm not making this up. I have to go to bed every night knowing that everyone's okay. Like clients are fine. If they're not happy, if they're going to their beds at night thinking, well, I don't really understand, why is my calorie, if it's a weekend, why is my calories up tomorrow, or why am I on this amount of grams of fat, or why's Mark got me doing this exercise? I don't understand this. Then I've failed as far as I'm concerned. I'm not doing what they're paying me for. There's going to be questions along the way, but they shouldn't be so confused as that they really don't understand why I've programmed the way I have, or anything that I'm doing. If they ask me a question, I should be able to answer it, and I'm always happy to. So
yeah, they have to have full belief in the program.
Absolutely.
And I think if they understand it, then they do, because half of the reason programming works is because they believe in that program. Or even if then actually let's scale back a little bit. So if we're trying to help someone who's watching this and they're kind of like, hey, I like the sound of coaching and everything, but how can I apply these to my own kind of, if I'm trying to coach myself? So we already talked about being realistic about how many times a week you can train, thinking about specificity. That's the most important thing. Make sure your training, everything you're doing is related towards your goal. So when you're picking exercises, make sure they're specific to your goal. When you're picking rep ranges, make sure they're specific to your goal, or intensities, but also make sure they're kind of realistic and you can do them as well, because that all comes into it as well. But yeah, it's just, that is how we set things up from the get-go. You should have an absolute grounding in everything you could possibly want. And then from there, it is a learning curve, because both me and Mark, we can't get the perfect program from the get-go. We may not even get your nutrition perfect from the get-go, but we have it pretty much there. And then it's kind of like, okay, we're adjusting things to specifically mold it to the person. And that's the same when you set up your own program or nutritional program. Like, you might just base your macros off a calculation initially, and then you measure, you adjust, and you make sure you're what we're doing is we're doing those adjustments for you. We're watching those measurements for you, rather than you having to do it yourself. If you're doing it yourself, then that relies on your own kind of knowledge and background, and then you don't have someone you can ask questions to, and that's why coaching can be really effective. And I kind of see coaching as a bit like, if you play PlayStation games or whatever, computer games, kind of like a little bit of a handbook, a walkthrough guide. So you're like fighting a boss that you're finding really difficult to beat. Maybe it's getting through like a fat loss plateau. So the handbook says, all right, his weak point is here, here, and here. So you need to attack here, here, and here, and you get past it. It's like, well, right, we're hitting this plateau, so we're going to track your steps. We're going to make sure you're doing your cardio. We're going to place a refeed here, and we're going to get past it. Or maybe even we need a fat loss primer month,
like it,
a diet break or a maintenance phase. So we need to take that break so we can take the pedal off, take our foot off the gas. let the body settle, let that body fat set point kind of readjust, and then go forward again. And yeah, like Mark said, there's no secrets in our coaching. You will not receive anything and be like, whoa, I've never seen this before. Like, Steve, what is that? I'll be like, well, just look at this article. I've talked about it here. Look at look at my Snapchat. I talk about it all there. There's no secrets to our coaching. Everything, we market ourselves on value, giving away every bit of information we can so people can do it themselves. But sometimes there's a lot of value in having it all individualized, put to you, and then like going through it yourself. You can't really beat that process.
It's just, it also helps people get their full potential as well. Like, if anyone's ever dieted before, you'll know you get to a certain point where you get like diet brain, and the decisions that you make. Like, if I think back to some of the decisions I've made when I've been getting quite lean through a diet, it's unbelievable. You would never make them if you weren't dieting. The same when you're gaining weight. Gaining weight can be such a struggle for people. To actually see the scales going up is very hard to deal with for a lot of people. I think that's actually understated a lot, is just how difficult it can be to see scales going up, even in advanced people. But if you've got something at your back, if you've got an objective eye looking over things, then it just takes that second guessing out. You don't have to go make that extreme decision to cut your calories by 500 a day, or to up your cardio by 1,000 calories a week. You don't have to do that, because that's what I'm doing. If we've built the relationship, if they've been following the kind of work that the articles that you've written, and because most people who come work at Revive have been following for a while, they know the stuff, they know the value. They can trust the process, they can trust us, then it's going to make their life less stressful, and it's going to maximize their potential in either direction, whatever way they're going. Whether it is a cut for body weight, or whether it is trying to gain muscle, or like you said, if it's like that priming stage where if you get a client who's already struggled for 2 years to lose body weight, and all they seem to be doing is dieting after diet after diet after diet after diet, it'll take a certain amount of trust for them to listen to us when we say, well, in fact, let's not go through a dieting phase at the moment. Let's see if we can kind of maintain our body weight, get the calories up, and then see where we are. Just like you spoke about that before we came on. I really like that, the way you put that kind of priming phase or stage. So not only is it an education, and it's being able to maximize the process that you're going through without the stress, or with limiting the stress, I think.
I mean, I have to agree. As a coach, when you coach yourself, sometimes you're your own worst enemy. So an example of that could be, for myself, I've gone through periods in my training career when I have maintained weight for a needless period of time, because I think I can somehow recomp, gain muscle, and like lose fat, or maintain body fat levels and thus reduce them. Or it doesn't happen. You very often need someone to encourage you, or to almost force you in the direction. To go into where you need to go. And I work with a lot of people, and I don't know if it's the type of client I kind of draw in, very much fat phobic type of people. I'm one of them myself, and they might see that in me, and kind of that's why they're drawn to me. And sometimes it is just encouraging them to be like, okay, we're going to try pushing a bit more food here. It always works out. It always works out for the best, because muscle gain is difficult, and this is one of the hardest things. People have to let themselves actually gain a little bit of fluff, maybe not look them their best. And you can't explain everything, but as a coach with a lot of experience, I found myself being able to explain, have a lot of reasons why something could happen, but you're always looking kind of like at the past, so you never know why things exactly happen. Something you actually pointed out was they should have read our articles. They should be well kind of bought into us already. That does bring me to a client that I will kind of almost reject, and it doesn't happen very often. But if I, in the consult, ask them questions that I think kind of they should know, or maybe they've read an article, or if I question them, make sure they actually know something about the company and about our way of doing things, which the articles completely do show, and any of our social media, if they don't know that, then I don't feel like I can coach them, because I don't feel like they trust and they're not bought into me as a coach. If you don't trust your coach, if you don't think your coach is very knowledgeable, you don't have respect for your coach, like, you're not going to get good coaching, because you won't allow them to give you good coaching. We won't take on people that we don't think we know our stuff, because we do. But if you don't think we do, then we don't for you. And I think that's important, and that's an important reason why we have the consults as well, because if we get the feeling that we don't gel very well during that time, then there's no point going ahead, because it will just be a waste of our time, it'll be a waste of your time, everyone's going to get upset. So everyone we take on, like virtually every single person that's come on board, has seen really, really good results, so long as they followed things through and they've put the time, because there is a time commitment both on our part and on that client's part. You need to check in, you need to fill in your spreadsheet. If we don't have this data, we cannot help you. Knowing that things are going okay isn't enough for us to adjust a program.
Yeah, agree. I think as well with the consultation, or just going back to that consultation process and kind of being honest from the start. Quite often, right from the get-go, you've got to kind of put the reins on a little bit and manage expectations a little bit as well. And, it's very unlikely that if you work with us for 12 weeks, you're going to gain 10 kilos of muscle. It's just maybe not going to happen. So, I think managing expectations and just making sure that they know that you are an honest, genuine coach right from the start. And like you said as well, it can be really difficult being a coach, really hard, especially when you start to build up a relationship, almost a friendship with clients. And for whatever reason, if they're not sticking to the protocol for some reason, you've kind of got to say, like, what's going on? I really need you to kind of buck up your ideas a little bit. Like, what's happening? Why are we not getting the results that we'd expect? What is going on? It could be very, or at least I've found it can be very challenging for me to address that with a client who's become a friend over a period of time. But at the same time, that is what we're here for. And just as we'll like congratulate and encourage our clients and empower them, we've still got to be that source of, like, come on, like, you haven't been playing the game. Or this is the third time you haven't checked in over the course of 9 weeks or whatever. Like, 1 in 3 is not good enough. We'll have to start straightening things out. If you're going to get the most out of our coaching system, if you're going to get the most out of your potential, which you will get undoubtedly, you've got to be like meeting us halfway.
Yeah, I love that. That is just like having a manager at work, or having a teacher at school. Like, they want the best out of you, but they're going to hound you, and we will hound our clients if we need to. If they're not checking in with us, we don't just let it go. Sure, we have a check-in date, and if they miss that, then it's to our discretion whether we reply or not. But we want the best out of our clients, and we're going to hound, and we're going to make sure you do, because that's part of the accountability process. We will get you to check in. If you don't check in, then you'll miss opportunities and you won't see the results you want. That is part of our job, is to keep you on track, 100%. That's very important.
It's the only way that online coaching will work. It just won't work otherwise.
Yeah, you can't expect to get a program, get a plan, and it not need adjusting. It will 100% need adjusting.
Absolutely.
I get quite a few similar clients. I will probably start a lot of them on a similar program, on a similar split, and then manipulate things. That's when you learn about what their maximal recoverable volume is. How many calories do they really need to lose weight? How many cardio sessions can they do? What sort of how does their body react to a refeed? All of these things you learn over time, and that's just like when you're coaching yourself.
Absolutely.
If you can keep data. So actually, if we finish on what data we collect week in, week out from our clients, because I think that will really help people who are coaching themselves as well. So from memory, not that I need much memory because I do this every day. So we get body weight every day, or a minimum of 4 times a week. It basically is as many weigh-ins as we can possibly get. Also, what time that weigh-in was, because that can impact things. The longer you've kind of had between eating, you're going to have less in your stomach, things like that. Also, kind of you sweat quite a lot during your sleep, so you can lose quite a lot through hydration. Then we also take in macronutrients, so what they had on that day: protein, fat, carbohydrates, fiber, which is also very important. That can all impact weigh-ins as well. Calories. And then we also take into how long have they been sleeping. That's something we keep them accountable to. That again can impact weigh-ins, can impact performance.
Yep.
What their energy levels currently are, how energetic are they feeling, if they're in a dieting phase. Again, that's very important. If they've been reporting really low energy levels for a long period of time, we need to know about it. We might need to implement something there. We also take into account how hungry they're feeling. So, because not only is that important in terms of maybe they need a calorie increase or a refeed, or maybe they just need us to look at their MyFitnessPal. Maybe they've had poor levels of satiety. Maybe they've been really hungry, but their fiber's also been pretty low. Then we know, right, let's check their MyFitnessPal. Right, you haven't been eating properly. Let's get that sorted out. Trying to think what else we look at on a week-to-week basis. So we've got sleep, satiety, energy levels.
I think just general adherence as well. How they feel that they've
adherence
how they feel
to
that
nutrition.
Yeah.
Just these are normally just scales 1 to 5. Like, have you been guesstimating a load of meals, or have you been everything's weighed to the dot? Like, have you been 100% accurate? And then we just allow them to put any comments. That's what we kind of our general diary looks like. And then on their training, we have kind of fatigue levels, soreness levels. Those ratings, along with their video, is invaluable to allow us to go forward.
Absolutely. The more, like, I think you've already mentioned this before, but the more information that we can get, the better. And that will always be the case. If there's something else that we think of that we could get clients to track that, then we'll add it in, because it's just, we get all this in kind of one go, and we can look through it and see how their week's gone and how they're feeling. And like you said, if they're not filling the sheets in how they have like been asked to, it's almost impossible actually to coach.
Yeah.
You can't coach with nothing. We need information to coach and advise. And then if they fill that sheets in, at least we've got like they'll maybe fill the sheets in fairly honestly. So if they are a little bit hungry, if they are a little bit tired, they'll maybe put it down because they've done that day. Whereas when it comes to their weekly video, they've maybe just been having a good day.
Yeah, they can forget about it.
Hey, everything's great, and then you're, whoa, that's magic. But then if you go back on the sheet and say, well, actually on Wednesday you were like struggling, what was happening there? So yeah, if they're doing everything the way they're supposed to do, and they're just gonna get the service is going to be there, because we will make sure that they're getting as good a service as they possibly can be. But again, if they're meeting us kind of in the middle, but yeah, the more information that we can get from them, the better. And that's why I encourage, like, just anything. Just tell me everything that's going on. I don't care if they send me a video that's 30 minutes long. Just as long as I know what's going on.
Just sit down with a cup of coffee.
I will absolutely. I mean, most videos are 5-10 minutes, and it doesn't take that long. But even things like form check videos is so important for a personal trainer online. I can't see how my clients are, although most clients are personal trainers themselves. You know, they're coaches. They're fairly advanced. They've got very good understandings of things anyway. But I think just like having the accountability for the diet and the training, just to have like that objective pair of eyes looking over your form again, just to keep you honest, making sure that you're pulling where you're supposed to be pulling from, you're pushing where you're supposed to be pushing from. I think that can really help, and I that's one thing that I do encourage, is send me over as many videos as they like, and I can go through that as well, because first and foremost, like, safety. And that's why I like the kind of base week that we do. I'd much rather a client says, my God, that was the easiest week I've ever had in the gym, than, my God, Mark, I've had to cancel my coaching because I've popped a disc in my butt. So yeah, first week's always, it's easier for that reason. We're setting them up for this, building on this intensity that's going to happen.
and that's actually something I encourage, is actually during that base week, every month, I try and get form update videos.
Yeah.
Something I want to roll out formally, because I haven't actually said it to yourself, but I've definitely spoken about it, and I've spoken about it to a few clients. I love to get form videos every month. Some people are really good with them, other people aren't. Again, it's one of those, it's like an optional, if you want to opt in and get that extra value out of us, you can. If you don't, then that's up to you. Something I would also say is we also have been tracking steps for quite a while. Some clients don't, some do. Some just track, some have step targets. But again, those are all kind of evolving things, and that's something you'll get with Revive and any evidence-based kind of practitioning online coach.
Yeah.
They've evolved their service. So people who have been with me for like a year now have their services evolved. They have not seen their training change. They have seen my approaches to their nutritional strategies change with the data that we're getting and with my learning, with the conferences and stuff we're keeping up to date with. So it is just, I love online coaching. I think it gets a massive bad rap from a huge amount of people who just don't personalize it. I don't think I have anything else to really add. We've almost come to an hour. What do you reckon, Mark?
Yeah, I'm good, mate. I'm the same. I love online coaching. I love being able to help people who I wouldn't otherwise have been able to help. I think it's great. I think if you make it personable, then it works really well. The people who kind of talk negative about it, to be honest, I don't think they understand it properly. I don't think they put in the effort to make it that personable thing. It could be really easy to have an online coaching company through email. It would take minimal work, and but you would get subpar results, subpar coaching. That's not what we do here. It's personal training, just remote personal training, and we're lucky or we're fortunate now that we can do this kind of thing. You know, everyone's got iPhones, everyone's got iPads or computers or you can buy a stand for £2 that you can take in the gym with your phone. It's very easy to be able to update your coach back and forth. And yeah, I really, really enjoy helping people, empowering people to with their own goals.
Awesome. Yeah, I completely agree. It's amazing. I feel so fortunate that I've managed to develop a career out of just online coaching. It seems insane to me. And the reason I love personal training was helping people with their goals, and I love the one-to-one connection. So when I went into online coaching, there was no way I was ever going to lose that with people. It became very apparent that the personal connection was almost that missing link between a lot of kind of unsuccessful companies, and that's why we get great results with Revive, and people continue to keep on to their results after they leave us. What I do want to tell you guys is that if you are interested in personal training with Revive Stronger, I'll drop a link below. You can look at our website, you can read our articles. I encourage you to read the About Me. I encourage you to read up on Mark and myself in our articles, in our past YouTube videos, everything. Just give us a gander. If you like what you see, apply for coaching. We'll give you a consult, and we'll just have like a good chat, and it'll be nice.
Yeah, absolutely. Look forward to it.
Awesome. So thank you, Mark. Cheers, guys, for tuning in. Really appreciate it. We will be with Mike Israetel next week. Sorry that was delayed. He is a busy man. He's been on a ton of other podcasts this week anyway, so you can enjoy those as well. So cheers, guys.
Cheers, guys.
Cheers, Mark.
Thank you.